Hello everyone, welcome back again to this channel and a happy new month to all my viewers. So guys, if you know you're doing something for the moment, I just wanted to just leave it and come and listen to what I have to tell you guys. Now, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's wife, that's Uchechi Kanu, has shocked Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has shocked the president of Nigeria. You guys need to really listen to what she said. Now, breaking news, Uchechi Kanu, wife of detained Biafran leader Nnamdi Kanu, has sent a fiery and emotional message to the United Kingdom. In a powerful statement, she accuses the UK of complicity, calls their silence deeply disgraceful, and demands the immediate and unconditional release of her husband. This is one of the boldest attacks on Britain's role in this case so far. Now, let me tell you guys the exact word she said, because she really shook the internet and shook Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now, Uchechi Kanu said, I quote what she said. She said, "It is deeply ironic, if not disgraceful, that while Nigeria is abandoning its own Supreme Court president, the UK has chosen silence, forcing itself to stand against the very principles it once stood for. Nnamdi Kanu is a UK citizen. For any reason, the UK should not abandon their own citizens, yet they have decided to remain quiet and become complicity in his suffering." Now, she accused Britain not just of negligence, but of actively aiding in this injustice by staying silent. Now, then she went straight to the legal heart of the case and dropped a constitutional bombshell. Uchechi argued that even under Nigerian law, the trial against Nnamdi Kanu has no legal foundation. This was her words. I quote her. She said, "Even in the Nigerian constitution, whenever you charge someone for an act of terrorism, it must be an act committed within Nigeria, within Nigerian soil. Nnamdi Kanu was not even in Nigeria when these allegations were made. He was already in the United Kingdom. If any court should have tried him, it should have been a UK court and not a Nigerian one." So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's wife Uchechi is saying that even if they should try Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, it should be in a UK court and not a Nigerian one. She has really gotten tired of all these things, and she sent a letter to the UK president, and then she hammered it with further point. She said there's no evidence nor allegation that the UK, where these broadcasts were allegedly made, has found them criminal under UK law. Therefore, under Nigerian law, no court in Nigeria has justification from the onset to put Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on trial. This is massive. She's saying that the Nigerian government lacks justification entirely. If the UK never found his actions illegal, Nigeria cannot legally prosecute him for acts allegedly committed on British soil. That's constitutional law and not just an opinion. But Uchechi did not stop at calling out hypocrisy and legal violation through the Nnamdi Kanu Support Network. She issued a direct demand to the British government immediately. Now, this was her words. She said the United Kingdom must publicly condemn the extraordinary detention and the continued illegal detention of the leader of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. They must invoke every diplomatic and legal mechanism to demand his immediate and unconditional release. She repeated this call over and over, leaving no space for the UK to hide by using the term extraordinary redemption. She's officially accusing both Nigeria and the UK of breaking international law through an illegal cross-border abduction. Now, this message has ignited global debate. A few key question that is in everybody's mind is, why is the UK silent when Nnamdi Kanu is their citizen? Another question in everybody's mind now is Britain afraid of Nigeria, or are there secret political deals behind this? Now, another question in people's mind now is they're asking, if the Nigerian court has no justification, is this entire trial a political prosecution disguised as law? Would this new demand force the UK to act under pressure from the diaspora and international community? Now, Uchechi Kanu, the wife of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's words, are not just emotional pleas. They are legal, constitutional, and moral strikes at the heart of this case. For the first time, the UK is being called out directly and publicly to choose stand for justice or stand for silence. Guys, what do you think? Should the UK be held responsible for their inaction? Is Uchechi write that Nigeria has no justification at all, and with this bold statement change the fate of Mazen Nnamdi Kalu's case. Because looking at what is going on, she's really tired of the way the UK, I know, they're not saying anything about Mazen Nnamdi Kalu. Mazen Nnamdi Kalu, they said that he said something, he did a broadcast in UK. So if he's a UK citizen, it's only the UK court that have the right to try him because it was committed in UK and not in Nigeria. Now, this is where she added some constitutional points here. She said, Section 45 of Nigerian Terrorism Act, Uchechi's argument aligns with the provision that terrorism charges must relate to acts committed within Nigerian territory or against Nigerian citizens abroad. If Nnamdi Kalu's alleged broadcast happened in the UK and the UK has not deemed them criminal, Nigeria lacks was justification entirely. Now, she went on further saying the violation of extraditional treaty. Nnamdi Kalu was not extradited through due process. He was adopted. This bypassed both Nigerian and British courts, making it an international crime under our UN conventions. UK's duty to protect citizens under the UN Convention on Consular Relations. The UK is obligated to protect its citizens abroad. Uchechi is highlighting that Britain's silence is a violation of their own international responsibility. Now, international and political angles, extraordinary detention accusation. By using that term, Uchechi indirectly accuses Nigeria of acting like a military dictatorship and the UK of complicity. This could escalate to the International Criminal Court if pushed. Now, impact on UK's global image. Britain has always portrayed itself as a defender of human rights and democracy. Uchechi's word exposed a double standard, especially towards Africans and former colonies. Now, diaspora outrage. Nigerians in the UK and across Europe are now questioning why a UK passport seems useless if the government won't protect Nnamdi Kalu. This is fueling protests in London and international advocacy campaigns. Now, these are the human rights and moral points here. Prolonged detention without trial. Uchechi highlights that her husband has been detained despite multiple court rulings ordering his release. This violates Nigeria's own Supreme Court decision and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Emotional appeal. Her speech is not just legal, it's personal. You have abandoned your own citizen to die in chains. That was what she was telling the UK government. That line hits the UK government's moral conscience and resonates with what viewers. Now, these are questions, are going to we are asking, if Nnamdi Kalu were a white British citizen detained illegal in Africa, would the UK be silent? This is the question I'm asking. So please, I want you guys to be dropping your comments below. Let's really interact in this live section. Now, if Nnamdi Kalu was a British citizen detained illegally in Africa, would the UK be silent? I don't think the UK is going to be silent. Yes, if he was a British citizen that was detained illegally, the UK would not be silent. But because they feel, oh, he's also in Nigeria, let's just keep quiet. Now, another question I'm asking is the UK avoiding action because of oil, politics, or secret agreements with Nigerian government? Another question I'm going to be asking you guys is, has this case exposed how little African citizens' rights matter towards Western government? So guys, please, I want you to drop your comments below. So because I want this live to be an interactive section. So drop your questions and answers below. Now, turning the case into a global issue. Uchechi's statement moves the case beyond Nigeria versus Kanu. It's now about international law, citizenship rights, and colonial era political games. This framing can make the video trend because it touches the global justice teams. Now, I love the fact that Kanu's wife Uchechi came out and pointed all these things out to the UK government so that they will know that all these things they are doing is not fair by abandoning their own citizens. If it's that Mazen Nnamdi Kalu now was a British citizen, do you really think that they're going to keep quiet? I don't think they're going to keep quiet. Definitely, they must talk and even react immediately. So let's take a look at the constitutional and legal expansion in Section 36 of the Nigerian Constitution. Uchechi's argument indirectly highlights that Nnamdi Kalu's right to a fair trial has been violated since he was abducted without due process and tried in a court with no justification. Now, violation of Nigerian Supreme Court ruling. The Nigerian Supreme Court already ordered that Nnamdi Kalu's extraordinary detention was illegal. Uchechi is calling out the UK for staying silent even after the highest court in Nigeria confirmed the illegality. No evidence was submitted. To date, the Nigerian government has failed to present clear evidence proving the terrorism allegations. Uchechi is reminding the world that her husband is being held without solid proof. Now, international justification clause. Under universal justification principles, the host country UK must approve prosecution if the alleged acts occurred on their soil. The UK never approved it, making the Nigerian trial invalid from day one. Now, the diplomatic and political pressure. UK silence is equal to what? Political interest. Many believe that UK is quiet because of oil, trade deals, and fear of straining relations with Abuja. So many people are feeling that the why the UK government, is quiet about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case is because of, they feel that if they talk, that they're going to, they're not going to benefit from oil again and trade deals, and even fear of straining relations with Abuja because of the connection they have with Abuja. You don't want to talk. Now, Uchechi's speech forces the UK to choose between morality and what? Money. Biafran question resurfaces. Her statement indirectly what? Reignites the Biafra debate globally. If Nnamdi Kanu is truly being persecuted, it validates the argument that Biafra struggle is not terrorism but a fight for what? Self-determination. Now, UN Charter on Self-Determination, Nnamdi Kanu's movement is protected under Article 1 of the UN Charter. Uchechi's message subtly reminds the world that suppressing such movements is a human rights violation. Humanitarian and emotional angles, family and health. Uchechi emphasizes the inhuman conditions Kanu is kept in, highlighting reports of his deteriorating health. This brings an emotional layer that can pull international sympathy. Moral betrayal. You abandoned your own citizen is a strong line that paints the UK as betraying their duty and humanity. It also raises questions about the value of a British passport for Africans. The colonial shadow. Many are now asking if the UK is enabling Nigeria's government to the same way it enabled oppressive regions during the colonial era. This point resonates deeply with Africa and diaspora watch audiences. Now, if a British citizen of Europe descent was adopted illegally, would the UK stay silent? For me, I think that they're not going to stay silent if it was a British citizen that was adopted illegally like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The UK government is not going to stay silent about it. Now, is the UK secretly aware of Nnamdi Kanu's innocence but afraid to confront Nigeria? For me, I think that the UK government, they are aware that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is innocent because there are a lot of people who are talking about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu being innocent. There are so many evidence that there's so many evidence that has been shown to the UK government that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is innocent. But what is going on? They are afraid to confront Nigeria. They are afraid to confront Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What is really going on? Now, does this prove that African citizens are second class in the eyes of Western governments, even when they hold Western passports? Because this evidence shows that our African citizens are second class in the eyes of Western government. Because tell me why there are so much evidence to prove that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is innocent, but still the UK government doesn't want to talk on his behalf. Now, let me tell you guys the big picture impact here. International precedent. If this case goes unchallenged, it sets a precedent that any African government can adopt a foreign citizen without following law, and the host country can stay quiet. Now, Uchechi's speech warns the UK that the world is watching. Diaspora was mobilization. Her message has already energized diaspora communities to protest in London, calling out the UK government publicly. The more the UK ignores this, the more their reputation takes a hit global. So Uchechi is actually, doing all this so that the UK government will see that what they have been doing to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case is just unfair. You guys know that this man is a British is a citizen, but you guys don't want to help him. Are you guys afraid of confronting Bola Ahmed Tinubu, or is the UK afraid of confronting Nigeria? What is it that they're afraid of? Is it the oil that they're afraid that they won't be able to gain again? Now, deeper legal and constitutional point. Violation of Nigeria's Extradition Act in 1966. Nnamdi Kanu was never formally extradited through a court process. Uchechi's message indirectly exposes this as a breach of both Nigeria and UK law. African Charter on Human and People's Rights, ratified by Nigeria. Article 7 guarantees the right to be tried in a competent court with proper justification. By adopting him and trying him in Nigeria for alleged acts in the UK, Nigeria violated this treaty. Now, UK's legal obligation as his host country and the location where the alleged offences occurred, the UK had a duty to conduct any investigation or trial. Uchechi's argument highlights that Britain's inaction is a failure of that duty. The UN Convention Against Torture, extraordinary redemption is classified as illegal detention and cruel treatment under this convention. Uchechi's statement is effectively what accusing Nigeria of an international crime and the UK of being what a silent what accomplice. Now, international and diplomatic what angles. The more Uchechi repeats her demand, the more it paints Britain as weak, hypocritical, or corrupt in the eyes of the international community. Now, pressure on Commonwealth. Nigeria is a Commonwealth nation, and the UK leads the Commonwealth. This case could force what questions about whether the Commonwealth protects human rights or just what political what alliances. Now, EU and Amnesty International. Uchechi's statement is crafted to attract global human rights organizations. It opens the door for Amnesty International and the EU to step in if the UK continues what to remain silent. Now, I'll tell you guys the humanitarian and emotional angles of all these things. Now, health risk. Uchechi highlights that Nnamdi Kalu's health is a deteriorating due to a prolonged work detention. This raises moral pressure on the UK. Are you watching your citizen die slowly in another country's what prison? So Uchechi, the reason why Uchechi said all those things was because he was trying. The reason why Uchechi came out, I know, and exposed the UK government now is because she went on asking questions. Are you guys just going to keep quiet and watch your own citizen, die slowly in another country's prison when you guys are already aware that he is innocent and there have been so much evidence? That is what Uchechi, the wife of Kanu, immediately raised to the UK government. Now, the family impact. Her speech is not just illegal but personal. You have left my husband to rot in chains. This connects with audience emotionally and humanizes what the struggle. Now, this is just like a mother's plea. She's not only speaking as a wife but as a mother of his children, appealing to the UK's what sense of what humanity. Now, I'm telling you guys the political point here. Now, Biafra's struggle was reframed. Uchechi's message subtly was shift the narrative. Nnamdi Kalu is not a criminal but a victim of what state oppression. This reinforces that Biafra is a political and human rights issue, not what terrorism. UK's colonial responsibility. The Biafra Nigeria crisis traces back to colonial era borders drawn by what Britain. Uchechi's word indirectly forced the UK to confront their historical role. Dangerous or precedent. If the UK allows this, it sends a signal to other African regimes that they can adopt British citizens without consequences. Now, these are the questions that many people have been. I'm going to be asking. I'm going to be asking you guys this question. So please, I want you to be dropping your questions and answer in the comment section because I want this live to be an interactive section. Now, the question is, why is the UK so silent? Is it fear of money or politics? Does this prove that African-born British citizens don't get the same protection as others? If the Nigerian Supreme Court calls the redemption illegal, why is Nnamdi Kalu still in detention? Now, is this case exposing a bigger international conspiracy between Nigerians cabals and what Western and what powers? Now, Uchechi as the voice of the struggle. Her statement positions her as the emotional and legal voice of the Biafra movement in her husband's what absence. Reputation as a weapon. Her repeated demand to the UK is strategic. It forces the message into headlines and leaves no room for misinterpretation. The global spotlight here, by framing it as a British citizen illegally detained abroad, the case transcends Nigerian politics and becomes an international human rights watch story. So I love the fact that she came out, I was, approaching, she immediately came out and started, challenging the UK government, telling them that how can you guys fold your arms and watch your own citizen rot in another man's prison? And you guys are aware he is innocent. Even if they say he committed a crime, it was committed in UK. It's only the UK that have the right, to even try himself. It is the UK that have the right to even detain him. So why is the Nigerian government being the one to try him? And why are they so silent about this issue? Is it all you that are afraid of? Is it politics? What are they really afraid that they cannot come and confront Bola Ahmed Tinubu or confront what Nigeria? So, guys, I'm telling you guys the advanced legal and constitutional points here. Now, territorial jurisdiction principle. Under international law, a country can only prosecute crimes committed within its borders unless there is evidence of cross-border war terrorism. Now, Uchechi's statement underscores that no such evidence exists trying Nnamdi Kalu's alleged actions to Nigerian soil. Section 36, Chapter 12 of the Nigerian Constitution, it says no one can be convicted of a crime unless it is clearly defined under a written law at the time and the place the act was committed. If the alleged acts were in the UK and not defined as crimes under UK law, under under UK law. Now, it says no one can be, convicted, like Section 36 told us that no one can be convicted of a crime unless it is clearly defined under a written law at the time and place the act was what committed. Now, if the alleged acts were in the UK and not defined as crimes under UK law, Nigerian trial violates this section. Now, double jeopardy risk. If the UK later investigates and clears him, Nigerians' continued detention could amount to double or jeopardy, further proving what illegality. Extraordinary detention as a war crime. Ochechi's use of extraordinary detention places the case in the same category as CIA era illegal what kidnapping. This draws what global attention and potential ICC what involvement. Now, deeper diplomatic angles. UK's image versus reality. Britain claims to champion democracy and rule of law worldwide. Uchechi's message exposes the gap between that image and their inaction over to British citizens. Now, Commonwealth accountability. If the UK ignores this, it questions whether the Commonwealth is just a political club or a body protecting what citizens' rights. Now, international precedent. If Nigeria's abduction and detention of a UK citizen is ignored, it sets a dangerous precedent for other governments to adopt to foreign nations. The humanitarian and emotional angles. Mental health impact. Reports of Nnamdi Kanu declining mentally and emotional health due to isolation amplify what Uchechi's plea. This frames the case as not just political but a human tragedy. The voice of a wife and a mother. Uchechi's message resonates because it's not from a lawyer or activist, it's from a wife watching her husband suffer and children growing without their father. Now, abandoned in chains narrative. Her description paints a powerful visual of betrayal, a British citizen left to rot in a foreign dungeon while his own country watches. Political and historical context. Legacy of Biafra. Her statement reignites the conversation on Britain's historical role in the Nigerian Biafra war conflict. Many see the UK silence as a continuation of old colonial politics. Tinubu government's pressure. Uchechi's word indirectly challenged Nigeria's current administration to respect court rulings and international law. Western hypocrisy was exposed. If Nnamdi Kanu were a white British citizen adopted in Africa, the UK would have launched full-scale diplomatic action. This highlights racial and geopolitical double standard. Now, I'll be asking you guys this question. Please do well to drop your comments and your answers below. Does this prove that Western passports don't protect African-born citizens? Is the UK prioritizing oil and trade over human rights? Because these questions need to be answered. Is the UK government now they're now prioritizing oil and trade over human rights? Why has Nigeria ignored multiple court rulings on Kanu's release? Would this case become the biggest human rights scandal in West Africa? Now, Uchechi and National repeating the demand force the UK into the spotlight. Every time she says immediate and unconditional release, it amplifies the urgency. Now, this speech of Uchechi could be remembered as the moment the international community started paying real attention to Kanu's case. Global civil rights angle. Uchechi's word puts Nnamdi Kanu alongside global civil rights figures wrongly detained for political reasons. So she is calling out She's calling out the UK government to do something about the release of her husband, saying that the Nigerian government don't have the right to try him or keep him in continuous detention. So, okay, I'll be taking some comments here. Someone said UK is involved in that with Obama, but what I know is that Biafra will come to pass. Trust the process. One love, my sister, is going to come to pass. Biafra will come to pass. Like, no man can stop Biafra. No man can stop Biafra. And now she's saying here that UK is involved in that with Obama, that they don't know why the thing that is going on now with the UK president is that it is being involved with Obama. But surely the Biafra is going to come to pass. Thank you, my sister. So another person here said, free Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of indigenous people of Biafra. Yes, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu must be free, whether they like it or not. He must be free. Just like I told you guys, the main reason, for this platform is to agitate for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Yes, and also to tell the federal government that he's innocent, and also other people that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is innocent and he needs to be released. So guys, please, It's just like a normal ritual that we normally do here, to agitate for the freedom and the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So please type in the comment section, free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and also justice delayed is not what justice denied. So guys, let us move on. I'll be telling you guys the advanced legal and international law points in everything that Uchechi said. Now, International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, Nigeria is what a signatory. Article 9 protects against arbitrary arrest and detention. Now, Uchechi's statement exposes Nigeria for violating this treaty and the UK for ignoring it. The right to national protection abroad. Under British law, the Foreign Office must intervene if a citizen is illegally abducted abroad. Uchechi's speech indirectly accuses the UK of the legislation of duty. Universal Declaration of Human Rights in Article 14, it says it protects individuals against prosecution for political belief. Uchechi's message frames Kanu's detention as persecution and not what prosecution. Persecution and not prosecution. Now, violation of habeas corpus. By keeping him in detention after court rulings ordering his release after court rulings ordering his release, Nigeria is violating the ancient rights of habeas corpus. Now, Uchechi is essentially demanding the UK defend this core principle of English law. Now, Kanu was not on any active Interpol red notice when abducted, meaning there was no international warrant before he was abducted. That's what it means. Now, Uchechi's message highlights the illegality of his capture. Now, I'm telling you guys the geopolitical and diplomatic point in everything Uchechi has said. Now, UK-Nigerian economic ties. Britain's silence could be linked to oil contracts, trade, or post-Brexit African alliances. So, I feel that the UK president, the reason for that silence may be because of oil contracts they have with Nigeria and trade. Now, Uchechi's statement indirectly forces the UK to choose between commerce and conscience. They have to choose between it. So, because they want to have oil and they want to trade with Nigeria, does it mean that they will watch someone's rights being abused? No, that doesn't mean. They have to speak now. Now, pressure on international courts. Her words set the stage for taking the case to the International Court of Justice or the African Court on Human and People's Rights. Now, global precedent. If this case stands, it signals to other nations that they can abduct foreign citizens and face no consequences. Now, Uchechi's demand aims to stop this precedent. Emotional and humanitarian points. Children's trauma. Uchechi's plea isn't just for her husband, but for their children growing up fatherless because of political games. Now, the deteriorating health urgency. Reports of Kanu's heart condition and lack of medical care make her demand a life or death call. Now, abandonment narrative. You abandoned your own citizen, creates a powerful betrayal story, framing the UK as failing its own people. But honestly, what do you guys really think? I feel that the UK has failed its own people. Yes, he has failed with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The fact that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a UK citizen and still they are failing him. They're not even coming for his rescue. They're not saying anything about his detention. Now, historical parallels of this, her speech mirrors wives of political prisoners like Winnie Mandela, making her a symbol of resilience. Now, political and historical angles, Biafra legitimacy. By emphasizing illegal detention, Uchechi frames Biafra's movement as lawful self-determination and not rebellion. Britain's colonial borders. The UK created Nigeria's borders. Their silence now looks like they are protecting a structure they built, even at the expense of justice. Double standard. Let's compare the UK's rapid response to other kidnapped British citizens abroad versus their inaction here. Uchechi's word highlights racial and political bias. Now, if Nnamdi Kanu were a white British citizen abducted in Africa, would the UK still be silent? That is the question I have to ask you guys. And does this prove that the UK citizenship means nothing for African-born citizens? Is that what they're trying to tell us? Is this case exposing a secret alliance between Nigeria's political elite and Britain's world government? Should the Biafra struggle now shift focus to international courts? That is the question, and I'm asking now. Nationals repeating the demand over and over is strategic, forcing headlines to carry the exact message. Now, turning point in this case, this statement could become the trigger that moves the case from national to global stage. Uchechi's voice is turning the Nnamdi Kanu's case into more than politics. It's becoming a human rights campaign. Yes, it's actually becoming a human rights campaign, because if she doesn't speak now, the silence of the UK government will continue. It will just continue. Now, violation of Nigerian Supreme Court authority. Uchechi is indirectly exposing the government for disobeying the country's what highest court, which already ruled on the illegality of the retention. This is not just a case against Kanu, it's a case of the Nigerian government ignoring its own laws. Conflict with international extradition protocols. Every legal extradition requires a formal request hearing and approval in the host country. None of this happened, making the abduction a breach of the UN Model Treaty in extradition. Principle of non-refoulement. International law prohibits sending someone to a country where they may what face persecution. Uchechi's statement suggests the UK violated this principle by allowing Kanu's what illegal transfer. Now, absence of mutual legal assistance. Nigeria never sought mutual legal assistance from the UK regarding the alleged broadcast. Uchechi is pointing out that without UK cooperation, Nigeria's evidence is void in law. Now, international relations and diplomacy damage to UK's global reputation. Uchechi's demand paints Britain as hypocritical, preaching human rights abroad but ignoring its own citizens' plight. Now, he's saying that the Britain are so hypocritical that they go about preaching human rights abroad, but they're ignoring its own citizens' plight here in Nigeria. Now, Nigeria's international image, the continued detention after repeated court rulings makes Nigeria look like a lawless state, ignoring what due process. Potential sanctions. Her words open the door for courts to sanction Nigeria for violating human rights conventions. Now, pressure on UN and AU. The repeating of this extraordinary detention forces the African Union and United Nations to address this case publicly. Humanitarian angles, prolonged psychological torture. Uchechi highlights that beyond physical detention, her husband is subjected to psychological abuse and isolation. Violation of family rights. Keeping him away from his family without legal justification breaches both Nigerian and international family rights protection. Now, her message carries emotional weight of a wife's voice. Her message carries a different power because it's not from a lawyer but from the closest person to Kanu, making it deeply human. Fear of his life. Uchechi's tone suggests the urgency that Kanu might not survive prolonged illegal detention. That is why she went on fast, asking the UK government to intervene in her husband's continuous detention. Now, echoes of apartheid era detention. Her statement draws parallels to how Nelson Mandela was illegally held despite international outcry, making Kanu's case part of a larger freedom struggle. Now, British colonial legacy. The UK silence reignites accusation that it still indirectly was controlling Nigeria's political structure at the expenses of Biafrans. Now, election politics. Some analysts see the UK silence as linked to the maintaining Nigeria's political instability to protect Westerner interests regardless of justice. Self-determination rights. Uchechi's plea reframes the case as a legitimate fight for self-determination under international law and was not terrorism. Now, the question should the case now be moved to the International Criminal Court, which is ICC? Is this the biggest diplomatic scandal between Nigeria and UK since independence? Does this case prove that Biafra's struggle is about justice and not secession? What does this say about the value of citizenship when your own country abandons you? What does this say? The UK cannot come out every day and be preaching about human rights when they're abandoning Mazinam, they're not defending Mazinam Kalu in his own. Now, the repeated demand, immediate and unconditional release is deliberately ensure the message becomes headline material. Now, symbolism. Uchechi is becoming a symbol of resilience, turning her husband's case into a larger fight for human rights and African dignity. International media angle. Her message is crafted in a way that even the CNN, BBC, and Al Jazeera could easily pick up, making it a global news. Now, her words force viewers to confront whether the UK values African lives equally under their protection. Does UK value African life? This is the question. Because I don't understand why they're so quiet about even someone who is their own citizen. Someone who's their own citizen. Now, I'll be telling you guys the further legal and judicial point. The illegality of trial venue. Even within Nigeria, certain terrorism trial must be held in special courts authorized by law. Uchechi's argument questions whether the current court handling the case even has the legal competence to sit on it. Now, violation of bail rights. Multiple Nigerian courts granted Kanu bail in the past. His rearrest without respecting what those bail conditions violate was basic what due process. Now, Nigerian evidence law. If alleged crimes happened in the UK, Nigerian prosecutors must present evidence authenticated by UK authorities. So Uchechi is highlighting that no such evidence has ever what been produced. International crime of kidnapping. Extraordinary detention falls under what transnational what kidnapping. This could make Nigerian officials liable for prosecution outside Nigeria if international courts take up the case. Now, what are the obligations of the UK court? British courts are legally empowered to intervene if a UK citizen is held abroad under what unlawful what conditions. Instead of the obligation of this UK court is that they should actually come, the obligation of the UK court is that British courts are they're legally empowered to intervene if a UK citizen is held abroad under what lawful condition. Now, Ochechi's statement indirectly what demands the UK judiciary to act where the government has failed. That is what she's saying. The government has failed in this particular side, so the UK government should act, but they're not doing anything about it. Now, pressure on Human Rights Council. Her speech is essential a call to the UN Human Rights Council to investigate Nigeria and the UK. Now, Commonwealth crisis. Nigeria is a Commonwealth member. This case questions whether the Commonwealth protects citizens' rights or is just a symbolic what alliance. African Union silence. Uchechi message also indirectly what criticizes the AU for not speaking up, highlighting a failure of African institutions to protect what African citizens. Now, the possible ICG case. Her repeated use of extraordinary detention builds a strong foundation for taking the matter to the International Court of Justice. Now, physical health evidence. Reports of Kanu's health condition, lack of medication, and solitary confinement make the situation a humanitarian crisis. Uchechi's statement carries the weight of a family torn apart, making the case relatable beyond politics. By reminding the UK of its historical commitment to the rule of law and justice, Uchechi frames this as a moral test of what British integrity. You abandoned your own citizen is just emotional. It frames the UK as betraying its own laws and what values. Now, I'll tell you guys the colonial roots of Biafra struggle. Her words subtly were tying Nnamdi Kalu's case to Britain's creation of Nigeria's artificial borders that caused what the Biafran war conflict. UK's fear of Biafra's independence. Some analysts argue that UK's silence is to avoid reigniting Biafra independence debates, which could destabilize Nigeria. Now, global civil rights parallel. Uchechi's speech puts Nnamdi Kalu in the same historical lane as other leaders detained unjustly like Mandela, Gandhi, and what others. Now, Nigeria's government contradiction. Nigeria claims to follow the rule of law but openly defies its own Supreme Court and international treaties in this case. Now, this is the question I have to be asking you guys. So please always type your questions and answers in the comment section because I want this live to be an interactive session. Now, the question is this the clearest proof yet that Nnamdi Kalu's trial is what political persecution and not justice? Has the UK sacrificed its citizens to maintain oil and trade relations with Nigeria? Yes, that's the question. And now, if the UK fails to act, should the diaspora take legal action against the federal government? That's if they fail to act. Should the diaspora take legal action against the federal government? Does this prove that African-born UK citizens are treated as second class? Because from the look of the way things are going, it's as if the African-born UK citizens are now treated as second class. Now, the repeated call for immediate and unconditional release creates a sense of urgency that resonates throughout what Uchechi is saying. Now, her voice is now more than a wife's plea. It represents the wider Biafra struggle and Africa fight for human rights. Now, by emphasizing illegal detention and extraordinary detention, the narrative shifts from a suspect to a recognized political prisoner. That is it. So, global awareness angle, this case has the potential to spark debates on international law, human rights, and the treatment of African citizens in West nations. So I love the fact that she came out, challenging the UK government, telling them that how can you just sit down and watch your own citizen, rot in the DSS custody. That bold move alone is enough to tell the UK government that, oh, what we did is not nice. Now, I'll be telling you guys additional legal and judicial points here of what Uchechi said. Violation of Section 12 of the Nigerian Constitution. Any international treaty Nigerian signs becomes binding afterwards ratification. Nigeria has ratified the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which guarantees free trial and protection against what illegal detention. So Uchechi's argument indirectly shows Nigeria violating its own constitution by ignoring what these treaties. Now, principle of non-interference. International law prohibits a state from prosecuting acts committed entirely on the soil of another sovereign nation unless was approved. Uchechi's message highlights that the UK never gave such approval. Absence of proper charges. Many of the counts against Nnamdi Kanu are vague. Example, inciting broadcasts under Nigerian law. A charge must be specific, clearly stating time, place, and act. Now, Uchechi's statement indirectly exposes that many charges don't meet this standard. Violation of right to counsel. Reports showed his legal team has been repeatedly denied access or restricted. This breaches both Nigeria and what international law. Now, extraordinary retention is equals to what state-sponsored what kidnapping. Under the Rome Statute, such acts can qualify as crime against humanity when politically was motivated. Now, embarrassment for the UK Foreign Office. Uchechi's statement makes it clear the world is watching. Britain failed its own citizen, forcing the foreign office into the spotlight. Potential fallout in UK politics. If the pressure grows, this case could reach British Parliament and force debates about racial inequality in foreign protection or policy. Now, impact on Nigeria's international standing. The longer the tension continues, the more Nigeria risks being labeled as violating human rights, which can affect aid, trade, and diplomatic relations. Now, leverage for Biafra's movement. Her words internationally gave Biafran self-determination cause a stronger international legal standing by framing Kanu as a political prisoner. Now, this is right to health. International conventions guarantee medical care for detainees. Uchechi's plea emphasizing that his worsening health makes the UK silence a death sentence. But the fact that the UK is not saying anything, it means that their silence is now making Martin Nnamdi Kanu's case, becoming a death sentence. Now, family separation. Her voice is also the cry of children growing up without their father, making the situation more than politics. It was a family tragedy. Now, emotional soon. As a wife, her plea hits deeper because it's not just legal, it's personal, desperate, and urgent. Now, moral test for the United Kingdom. You abandon your citizens frames the UK as failing a basic moral and legal responsibility, challenging their reputation worldwide. You guys have seen that the Martin Nnamdi Kanu's wife, Uchechi Kanu, has come out, to warn the United Kingdom government. Like, what is going on? Why are you abandoning your own citizen to rot in DSS custody? Knowing fully well that he's innocent, you guys have seen a lot of evidence. So what is making you guys afraid to confront Nigeria or Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Anyway, guys, I want you guys to actually watch what Martin Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer has to say. And please drop a comment below. Like I always tell you guys, this is a platform where we agitate for the release of Martin Nnamdi Kanu. So guys, please type in the comment section, release Martin Nnamdi Kanu now. And also, justice delayed is not justice denied. So guys, take a look at this video and I'll be back to tell you the reason why Martin Nnamdi Kanu's wife really confronted the UK and asking for freedom for what Martin Nnamdi Kanu. So guys, calm down.
The reason Nnamdi Kanu, have a discussion with him. You have been having a discussion with bandits and the so-called repentant Boko Haram. Tell me the offense of Nnamdi Kanu, because he's agitating for self-determination, which is his own constitutional fundamental rights granted to him by the constitution and the law.
Well, the government's angle is not because of the agitation, because they know that everyone has a right to agitate, but they said the way he was going about it, like and then people were being incited. Well, that's even not what I'm
what of the wife of the president incited people during the election? The wife of the president, he incited people that Igbo should go. What of the one of Lagos said that Igbo should go and fall into lagoon? What of those that came out and said that Igbos will not vote? If you are not voting for APC, you will not vote. What happened to them? Has anybody been arrested? That Nnamdi Kanu said something, then you now term that thing he said as is a terrorist, is a crime of terrorism. You charge him for terrorism. His own lawful organization that is registered in almost all the whole countries in America and Europe and Asia, and you now came to Nigeria, you term it a terrorist organization. Now you are now saying that now that IPOB is being recognized in almost all the whole countries in America and Europe. So you are now saying that America, France, Germany, they are recognizing a terrorist organization because you don't want anybody to agitate. You want to suppress anybody. If you talk, kill him, suppress him, jail him. in a country that is predicated on constitutional governance. It cannot work like that.
Okay, let's get back to the ministerial nomination of Bianca Ojukwu, because you said he took away one from Anambra and brought in another. But remember that the president took away the minister based on the KPI results that came out, which he was not even the one, that did the evaluation. It was the result given to him with which he did that, meaning that if actually the minister had performed, above board in the KPI, he wouldn't have had any reason to remove her rather.
Now, still on that ministerial list, we have 48 of them, am I right? And we have 36 states in this country, including FCT 37. So, apart from Southeast, that have only 5, every other region have more than 6, apart from Southeast. Now, check since 1999, we have been having series of presidents. Let's use what is going on now. The president is from where? Vice is from where? Speaker is from where? Senate president is from where? CJN is from where? Court of Appeal president is from where? National Industrial Court president is from where? Chief Judge of Federal High Court is from where? And they are saying that the people of Southeast belongs to this country.
Are you sure Max, are you sure you're not? It's just like what I said too. Isn't it time we started to be less sentimental about this diversity?
We have to apply it now. We are saying that the only people that are qualified to hold on this position, nobody from South is qualified. On what basis?
Are you saying that
the chief of naval staff is from the Southeast?
Huh?
The chief of naval staff?
From where? I'm talking about the key position. Number 1 person, number 2 person, number 3 person, number 4 person, number 5 person. The key position, we have 3 arms of government: the executive, the judiciary, and the parliament. You can never see anybody from Southeast there. Now, the point we are talking about is that I'm not even talking about, I'm in court about lopsided appointments.
Okay.
I can avail that my process because I did an intensive research in that process. File it, asking court to view whether this particular appointment, whether this particular governance is in line with Federal Character Establishment Act, an act of National Assembly that said that you should carry everybody along. Section 14 of the Constitution also said that you should carry everybody along. And we are not doing all these things. You are telling me that, yes, now that you have removed Kennedy Hanele and you are now brought in Bianca Ojukwu, that the people of Southeast will jubilate. Are you talking to idiots? Look at the people that you are talking about. Check, let me start with the source. In football, the people that have made Nigeria proud are the people of Southeast. In commerce, in aviation industry, name it. In academics, they are from people of Southeast. But when it comes to power, they are not qualified. And we want them to be happy. Listen, let me tell you, like today that is Monday, go to Southeast. And my annoyance is that these things are avoidable for Christ's sake. The one at Niger, the reason and the Kanu, let us start addressing this issue. This early morning, somebody sent me a clip, something they posted, that they said from, I think they said next week, the next 2 weeks, that there will be nothing like federal courts in the whole of Southeast. What do I mean by federal courts? Federal courts, National Industrial Court is a federal court. Federal High Court is a federal court. Court of Appeal is a federal court. Now, the judges that are there, most of them are not Igbos. Majority of them are not Igbos. How should you risk somebody to go and preside in the Court of Appeal over the judicial division, Oka Judicial Division, Enugu Judicial Division? How can you appoint somebody to go and preside in Federal High Court in the Southeast, National Industrial Court in the Southeast? And you are not even thinking about all this, and the judges are not even thinking about So the point we are talking about is that when there is a problem, look for a solution. Personally, somebody like us, we are not even, I'm defending Nnamdi, one of his lawyers. So when they say so you people are not doing what you're supposed to do, the person that is calling you, don't even know him. He's using a hidden number to call you. You don't even know what they're talking about. The only thing that you went to court and you were unable to bring Nnamdi out. They're not even safe.
Okay, Maxwell, let me ask you this, because from what you're saying, I've also heard IPOB many times deny, allegations of being involved in some of the killings that happen in the Southeast and some of the, the ills that we see in the society. Even the sit-at-home in question, IPOB has also claimed that he has not asked anybody to sit at home. I don't know, get my point. So the point I'm making is that from what you're saying, it would look as if what you're actually trying to say is that it's because Nnamdi is being held,
yes,
that is why, the ills in the society in the Southeast has escalated. Does it have anything to do with him? That is what you're saying?
Do you know why? Nnamdi, IPOB is his initiative. He established it, he organized it. Now, when you now kidnapped him or adopted him, and unlawfully, because the Supreme Court have said that he was unlawfully brought into this country, and You kept him incommunicado. Everybody on his own. This one we kill, you said at IPOB. This one we maim, you said at IPOB. Everybody on his own. That's why I ask you the question, who is IPOB? The IPOB you know is Nnamdi Kanu. So Nnamdi Kanu, if Nnamdi Kanu is out, you will know who is who. Simon Ekpa will talk his own, Emma Powerful will talk his own, this one will talk his own, this one. Who is IPOB? That you are even talking. Simon Ekpa is in Finland. Emma Powerful, I don't know where he's operating from. Another person is operating from somewhere. Issuing threats. Just like the one somebody told me. I don't even know where that one is coming from. So the easiest way to do is the one that you know. Nnamdi Kanu. Then tell Attorney General, as he discontinue the charges against the president of Mieti Ala Kato, discontinue that of Showore, they are all terrorism. Tell them to discontinue that of Nnamdi Kanu. And allow Nnamdi Kanu to agitate. It is his right. I told you the other day.
You see, that's where the problem is, really. The guarantee, that there will not be problems, even if Nnamdi Kanu is. Because you're saying allow him to agitate, and he goes about it the way he used to, like, the government have actually feared. That may also create more problems, don't you think?
Let me tell you. There are some things that you asked me the other day whether they are talking about condition giving Nnamdi Kanu. I told you one question. I say, if you give Nnamdi Kanu condition that he feel after meeting up that condition, he will still live like a human being, so be it. But when you give him condition and you are removing that made him a human being, he will tell you no. What is that made you a human being? That thing that makes you a human being is your ability to exercise your fundamental rights. And when somebody said, now I'm going to employ you here, I'll be paying you $500,000 every month, but you will not talk, you will not move out, you say, do away with your job. When somebody said, I'm going to release you, but I'll cut one of your hands, say no. The agitation for self-determination is a fundamental right. And if you people fail to understand it, I can agitate that I need the Republic of Maxwell. Yeah. It is my right. Anybody can agitate. I don't even need crowd to follow me. It is when you now feel that you have gotten the necessary need the necessary qualities, then so be it. It is now left for the president who believe in democracy, who believe in government of the people by the people, to apply an initiative. What is the initiative? Release the person, start addressing all those issues that gave rise to this agitation. It has been there. Uwazirike was agitating during Obasanjo. A lot of people were agitating. So now that you have arrested, you come down Uwazirike that time, Nnamdi Kanu came up. Now that you have arrested Nnamdi Kanu, Simon Ekpa is there. I think this data from Ned Nwoko was telling you that even if you arrest Simon Ekpa today, another Simon Ekpa will come out. So the issue there is that address all those issues.
Right.
So for you, it's not about ministerial appointment.
No. That one. Okay, that is a complete distraction. That one should not come in. Okay. After coming in now, let Bianca come and address the Igbos in Enugu.
All right.
When the president calm down, the reason Nnamdi Kanu, have a discussion with him. You have been having a discussion with bandits and the so-called repentant Boko Haram. Tell me the offense of Nnamdi Kanu, because he's agitating for self-determination, which is his own constitutional fundamental rights granted to him by the Constitution and the law.
Well, the government's anger is not because of the agitation, because they know that everyone has a right to agitate. But they said the way he was going about it, like and then people were being incited. Well, that's even not what I'm
What of the one the wife of the president incited people during the election? The wife of the president, he incited people that Igbo should go. What of the one Oba of Lagos said that Igbo should go and fall into lagoon? What of those that came out and said that Igbos will not vote? If you are not voting for APC, you will not vote. What happened to them? Has anybody been arrested? That Nnamdi Kanu said something, then you now term that thing he said as is a terrorist, is a crime of terrorism. You charge him for terrorism. His own lawful organization that is registered in almost all the whole countries in America and Europe and Asia, and you now came to Nigeria, you term it a terrorist organization. Now you are now saying that now that IPOB is being recognized in almost all the whole countries, America and Europe. So you are not saying that America, France, Germany, they are recognizing a terrorist organization because you don't want anybody to agitate. You want to suppress anybody. If you talk, kill him, suppress him, jail him. In a country that is predicated on constitutional governance, it cannot work like that.
Okay, let's get back to the ministerial nomination of Bianca Ojukwu, you know, because you said he took away one from Anambra and brought in another. But remember that the president took away the minister based on the KPI results that came out, which he was not even the one, that did the evaluation. It was the result given to him with which he did that, meaning that if actually the minister had performed, above board in the KPI, they wouldn't have had any reason to remove her rather.
Now, still on that ministerial list, we have 48 of them, am I right? And we have 36 states in this country, including FCT 37. So, apart from Southeast, that have only 5, every other region have more than 6, apart from Southeast. Now, check since 1999, we have been having series of presidents. Let's use what is going on now. The president is from where? Vice is from where? Speaker is from where? Senate President is from where? CJN is from where? Court of Appeal President is from where? National Industrial Court President is from where? Chief Judge of Federal High Court is from where? And they are saying that the people of Southeast belongs to this country.
Are you sure you're not? It's just like what I said too. I mean, isn't it time we started to be less sentimental about this diversity?
We have to apply it now. We are saying that the only people that are qualified to hold all this position, nobody from South is qualified. On what basis?
Are you saying that the chief of naval staff is from the Southeast?
Huh?
The chief of naval staff?
From where? I'm talking about the key position.
So
number 1 person, number 2 person, number 3 person, number 4 person, number 5 person. The key position. We have 3 arms of government: the executive, the judiciary, and the parliament. You can never see anybody from Southeast there. Now, the point we are talking about is that I'm not even talking about, I'm in court about lopsided appointments.
Okay.
I can avail that my process because I did an intensive research in that process. File it, asking court to view whether this particular appointment, whether this particular governance is in line with Federal Character Establishment Act, an act of National Assembly that said that you should carry everybody along. Section 14 of the Constitution also said that you should carry everybody along. And we are not doing all these things. You are telling me that, yes, now that you have removed Kennedy Handele and you are now brought in Bianca Ojukwu, that the people of Southeast will jubilate. Are you talking to idiots? Look at the people that you are talking about. Check, let me start with the source. In football, the people that have made Nigeria proud are the people of Southeast. In commerce, in aviation industry, name it. In academics, they are from people of Southeast. But when it comes to power, they are not qualified. And we want them to be happy. Listen, let me tell you, like today that is Monday, go to Southeast. And my annoyance is that these things are avoidable for Christ's sake. They won at neither. The reason and the Kanu, let us start addressing this issue. This early morning, somebody sent me a clip, something they posted, that they said I think they said next week, or the next 2 weeks, that there will be nothing like federal courts in the whole of Southeast. What do I mean by federal courts? Federal courts, National Industrial Court is a federal court. Federal High Court is a federal court. Court of Appeal is a federal court. Now, the judges that are there, most of them are not Igbos. Majority of them are not Igbos. How should you risk somebody to go and preside in the Court of Appeal over the judicial division, Oka judicial division, Enugu judicial division? How can you appoint somebody to go and preside in Federal High Court in the Southeast, National Industrial Court in the Southeast? And we are not even thinking about all this. And the judges are not even thinking about, So the point we are talking about is that when there is a problem, look for a solution. Personally, somebody like us, we're not even, I'm defending Nnamdi, one of his lawyers. So when they say so you people are not doing what you're supposed to do, the person that is calling you, don't even know him. He's using a hidden number to call you. You don't even know what they're talking about. The only thing that you went to court and you were unable to bring Nnamdi out. They're not even safe.
Okay, Maxwell, let me ask you this, because from what you're saying, I've also heard IPOB many times deny, allegations of being involved in some of the killings that happen in the Southeast and some of the, the ills that we see in the society. Even the sit-at-home in question, IPOB has also claimed that he has not asked anybody to sit at home. I don't know, get my point. So the point I'm making is that from what you're saying, it would look as if what you're actually trying to say is that it's because Nnamdi is being held,
yes,
that is why the ills in the society in the Southeast has escalated. Does it have anything to do with him? That is what you're saying?
Do you know why? Nnamdi Kanu IPOB is his initiative. He established it, he organized it. Now, when you now kidnapped him or abducted him, and unlawfully, because the Supreme Court have said that he was unlawfully brought into this country, and you kept him incommunicado, everybody on his own. This one we kill, you said at IPOB. This one we maim, you said at IPOB. Everybody on his own. That's why I ask you the question, who is IPOB? The IPOB you know is Nnamdi Kanu. So Nnamdi Kanu, if Nnamdi Kanu is out, you will know who is who. Simon Ekpa will talk his own, Emma Powerful will talk his own, this one will talk his own, this one. Who is IPOB? That you are even talking. Simon Ekpa is in Finland. Emma Powerful, I don't know where he's operating from. Another person is operating from somewhere. Issuing threats, just like the one somebody told me. I don't even know where that one is coming from. So the easiest way to do is the one that you know, Nnamdi Kanu. Then tell Attorney General, as he discontinue the charges against the president of Mieti Ala Kato, discontinue that of Showore, they are all terrorism. Tell them to discontinue that of Nnamdi Kanu and allow Nnamdi Kanu to agitate. It is his right. I told you the other day.
You see, that's where the problem is, really. The guarantee, that there will not be problems, even if Nnamdi Kanu is. Because you're saying allow him to agitate, and he goes about it the way he used to, like, the government have actually feared. That may also create more problems, don't you think?
Let me tell you. There are some things that you asked me the other day whether they are talking about condition giving Nnamdi Kanu. I told you one question. I said, if you give Nnamdi Kanu condition that he feel after meeting up that condition, he will still live like a human being, so be it. But when you give him condition and you are removing that made him a human being, he will tell you no. What is that made you a human being? That thing that makes you a human being is your ability to exercise your fundamental rights. And when somebody said, now I'm going to employ you here, I will be paying you $500,000 every month, but you will not talk, you will not move out, you say, do away with your job. When somebody said, I'm going to release you, but I'll cut one of their hands, say no. The agitation for self-determination is a fundamental right. And if you people fail to understand it, I can agitate that I need the Republic of Maxwell. Yeah. It is my right. Anybody can agitate. I don't even need crowd to follow me. It is when you now feel that you have gotten the necessary need the necessary qualities, then so be it. It is now left for the president who believe in democracy, who believe in government of the people by the people, to apply an initiative. What is the initiative? Release the person, start addressing all those issues that gave rise to this agitation. It has been there. Uwazirike was agitating during Obasanjo. A lot of people were agitating. So now that you have arrested, you come down Uwazirike that time, Nnamdi Kanu came up. Now that you have arrested Nnamdi Kanu, Simon Ekpa is there. I think this data from Ned Nwoko was telling you that even if you arrest Simon Ekpa today, another Simon Ekpa will come out. So the issue there is that address all those issues.
Right. So for you, it's not about ministerial appointment.
No. That one. Okay, that is the complete distraction. That one should not even come in. Okay.
So guys, you guys have listened to what Kanu's lawyer have to say, right? Now I feel that everybody is putting all their hands, together to make sure that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is released. Just like you guys also heard from what the wife said, which is Uchechi Kanu Oku Kanu. She has come out to say that to confront the UK government, saying that about the illegal abduction of her husband, and also the DSS continued detention, saying that the UK government is silent about it, knowing fully well that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is their citizen. She went on to quote Section 35 of Nigerian Constitution that says that guarantees personal liberty and says detention without proper charge beyond 48 hours is illegal unless approved by a competent court. Now, Uchechi's statement highlights that this detention ignores the Constitution itself. Illegal court process. Nigerian law demands that terrorism-related trials follow strict evidence rules and are held in designated or federal high courts with clear territorial jurisdiction. Now, Kanu's alleged acts were in the UK, making Nigeria's jurisdiction was void. The breach of Vienna Convention on Consular Relations, the UK had a duty to ensure consular access to Kanu immediately after his capture. Now, Uchechi's statement exposes that this was never fully what honored. Now, in Rome Statute implications, extraordinary detention combined with prolonged illegal detention can qualify as a crime against humanity if politically was motivated. Multiple courts have ordered his release. Keeping him detained in detained custody despite that makes the Nigerian government liable under both domestic and international law. So why is UK silence about everything? Now, people are saying that UK silence is equal to strategic politics. Uchechi's plea forces the question: is Britain trading a citizen's life for political or economic deals with Nigeria? Now, impact on UK-Nigeria relations. This case could become a major diplomatic scandal if the UK is exposed as complicity or negligence. Now, test for international justice system. If the UN, AU, and UK ignore this, it sends a signal to the world that human rights protections are selective and political. Now, diaspora mobilization. Her words are fueling protests across Europe, Canada, and the US, making the case impossible to bury. The potential for global sanctions. If this case escalates, Nigeria could face sanctions for human rights violations, and the UK could face international backlash for inaction. That is if this cases escalate. If this case escalate, Nigeria is going to Nigeria is going to face sanctions for human rights violation, and the UK government and UK is going to face international backlash for their inaction. So guys, that's all we have for today. Please don't forget to type on the comment section, because this is a normal ritual we normally do here. This platform is used to agitate for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, to tell the Nigerian government that this man is innocent, as well as other people, so the whole world to know that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is innocent for anything they have said against him. So guys, please type in the comment section, free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and also justice delayed is not justice denied. Just like you guys know, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be coming to court on the 10th October 2025, and I'll be giving you guys latest updates concerning that and everything. So please do well to subscribe to this channel, and please just turn on the notification button to be able to be getting anytime we post something or anything we're going to be doing in this channel. So guys, thanks for watching, and see you guys again in my next live section.